Somewhere over eastern Ukraine, a Russian supply truck turns onto a forest road it has used 100 times. The driver has no reason to think this trip is different, but kilometers away, a small reconnaissance drone has already seen him. Its onboard software flags the heat signature, matches the shape against a library of known vehicles, and pushes a single line of data to a shared digital map. No one has to shout a coordinate across a room. The map does it for them. Within minutes, not hours, a strike drone is in the air, following a route and algorithm planned around the known positions of Russian jammers. The truck driver will never hear the thing that finds him. This is not a story about a drone. It's a story about time. For most of military history, the hard part of war was force. Having the bigger army, the heavier gun, the thicker armor. That war still exists, but underneath it, a quieter and far more decisive contest has taken over, and almost no one outside a targeting cell can see it. Modern militaries no longer win primarily by having better weapons. They win by completing a specific sequence of steps, finding a target, locating it precisely, tracking it, choosing how to hit it, striking, and confirming the kill, faster than the enemy can move, hide, or do the same thing back. Soldiers have a name for that sequence. They call it the kill chain. And the entire character of 21st century warfare, the drones, the satellites, the AI, the jamming, the obsession with speed, makes complete sense the moment you understand that every one of those technologies exists to do just one of two things: shorten your own kill chain or break the enemy's. Once you see the battlefield this way, you can't unsee it. So let's walk the chain, one link at a time. Every technology you've heard of in the last decade slots into one of 6 links. A spy satellite is a find tool. A precision missile is an engage tool. An AI targeting system is a way to move faster between the two. And the sequence itself is doctrine, not slang. The U.S. Air Force formalized it in the late 1990s under General John Jumper, and it has 6 steps: find, fix, track, target, engage, and assess. In shorthand, F2T 2EA. It sits at the center of American Joint Targeting Doctrine, written into a document called Joint Publication 360. The chain is the skeleton, and everything else is muscle laid over it. Start with the first link, find. You cannot kill what you cannot see, so every modern military pours enormous effort into seeing. Satellites scan for the heat of an engine or the electronic signature of a radar switching on. Reconnaissance drones loiter for hours, feeding video. Ground sensors listen for movement. Radio frequency detectors triangulate the position of anything that transmits: a radio, a phone, or a data link. The battlefield is now saturated with eyes and ears, and the result is brutal for anyone trying to hide. In Ukraine, both sides fly thousands of drone sorties a day, generating more surveillance footage than humans could ever watch. The old assumption that you could mass your forces quietly and strike by surprise is dying, because the find layer almost never sleeps. But finding something is not the same as being able to hit it. That's the second link. Fix. And it's where the real difficulty begins. To fix a target is to pin down its exact location with enough precision that a weapon can be aimed at it. A blurry heat blob many kilometers away is only a detection. Turning it into a precise, confirmed current grid coordinate is what makes it a target. And in modern warfare, fixing and tracking have effectively merged. Because if you can locate something moving to that level of fidelity, you are, by definition, already tracking it. The moment you have a fix that good, the clock starts, and it starts fast. Now comes the link that actually decides modern wars, and it's not the weapon, it's the handoff. To understand why the handoff matters so much, picture how it used to work. A sensor spotted something. That information traveled up a chain of command. An analyst reviewed it. An officer authorized it. Then a coordinate traveled back down to a shooter. Every one of those steps was a person, a radio call, a decision, a delay. And while the information crawled up and back down that ladder, the target was moving. A truck that was at a crossroads when the drone saw it is a kilometer down the road by the time anyone is cleared to fire. This is the thing that made the old kill chain slow. Not the finding, and not the striking. The distance the information had to travel between them, and the number of hands it passed through on the way. Militaries call the goal of closing that gap sensor to shooter, and compressing it is the single most important thing happening on the modern battlefield. The side that turns a detection into a strike faster wins, because the enemy is always moving, always trying to disappear back into the noise before the hammer falls. Shorten the ladder, and you don't just save minutes. You take away the enemy's ability to be somewhere else when the weapon arrives. This is where AI enters, and where I want to be precise, because this is the area most videos exaggerate. AI is not a robot deciding on its own to end a life. What AI actually does is collapse the middle of the chain. The US military's Maven system is the clearest example. It fuses feeds from satellites, drones, and other sensors into a single targeting picture, and it has reportedly replaced 9 separate intelligence systems while serving around 20,000 users. During recent operations against Iran, it helped process 1,000 targets in a single day, work that once took teams of analysts far longer. Ukraine runs its own version of this idea with a battlefield system called Delta, a shared digital map where a unit uploads a sighting and software prioritizes it and pushes the task straight to whoever can strike. The compression is staggering. A process that used to run in hours now runs in minutes, and at the very tip, a drone in its final seconds of attack, in seconds. But humans are still on the final call. Ukraine's own defense officials have stated that fully autonomous weapons are not yet in their arsenal, and that a person still approves the strike. AI is compressing the chain, and the human is still holding the last link of it. Not forever, maybe, but for now. Where that line eventually moves is one of the most consequential questions in modern defense. So if the whole game is completing your kill chain quickly, the counter is obvious: break the enemies. And this is the half of modern warfare that almost never makes the highlight reel: the defense against being found. If your enemy's chain depends on finding you, then you survive by being hard to find and hard to fix. You disperse your forces so there's no fat target to catch. You keep moving, because a stale coordinate is a useless one. In Ukraine, one of the clearest lessons of the war is exactly this. As Ukrainian forces spread out and stayed mobile, they measurably degraded the effectiveness of Russia's kill chain. The target simply stopped being where the coordinates said they'd be. But the sharpest way to break a chain is to attack the chain itself, and that is what electronic warfare does. Every link in a modern kill chain depends on a signal. The drone sends video back to its operator. The operator's commands travel out to the drone. The navigation depends on a satellite fix coming down from orbit. Cut any one of those signals, and the chain breaks in the middle, no matter how good the sensor or the weapon at either end. So both sides now flood the battlefield with jamming, drowning the radio links and spoofing the navigation. And the result is a strange, invisible duel fought entirely over the airwaves. And here is where it turns into a genuine arms race. When jamming began severing the link to first-person view attack drones in the final seconds of their run, exactly the moment the operator needs it most, Ukrainian teams answered by putting small AI models onto the drones themselves. If the drone loses its feed in the last moments before impact, the software takes over and guides it to the target on its own. The reported result was that these AI-assisted attacks succeeded far more often than purely manual ones. The jammer breaks the link. The drone learns to finish the job without one. Each side is now building the counter to the other's counter, and the chain keeps adapting faster than either can fully shut it down. That's the hidden rhythm of the entire war. One side extends its reach to find and strike faster. The other disperses, hides, and jams to slow that chain down. Every new drone, every new sensor, every new jammer is a move in that one contest. The race between the speed of killing and the speed of hiding. Which brings us back to that truck on the forest road. The reason it never stood a chance had nothing to do with the size of the weapon that hit it. It was found, fixed, and struck before it could become a moving, uncertain target again. Its kill chain was completed in minutes. The side that was supposed to protect it never got the chance to break the chain aiming at it. It lost the race by a matter of seconds. That is what modern warfare actually is. Not a clash of the biggest arsenals, but a contest of clocks. And once you understand that the whole battlefield is really a race against time, the next question writes itself. What happens when the human is finally taken out of that last link and the chain closes entirely on its own?